I try not to get caught up. I try not to look at like, oh, how much competition is it? Because it's very easy to like build like a negative mindset, like, oh, I can't make this work. There's so many people doing this.
I think a lot of people overthink everything.
Yeah,
in
sure.
general. People just have really a lot of trouble these days with overthinking, more
Absolutely.
so than ever before, I think, just because of social media. There's a million people posting content, a lot of people posting their success. So I think it just causes people to overthink the process like so much more. Whereas like, honestly, part of me feels like back in like 2018, 2019 or whatever, sure, there was a lot less competition, but I think also people just didn't overthink it as much probably. Like I think there was just not enough stuff online to like overanalyze. So, you know, you could just launch something and find some success. Let me ask you this. What happens if you run an ad test like that and you get no sales? What would you recommend somebody to do in that case? Like on day one, you let it run or what?
So I always let it run for 24 hours. And then I literally won't even open my laptop and look at it. I think people try to look at their data after like $2 spent, which I just literally close my laptop. So on day 2, after 48 hours, I'll look at my data. And usually it takes a couple, 2 or 3 rounds, unless you get lucky on your first set of creatives. But first I want to look at like buying intent. And the only metrics that I really look at, and I'm curious to pick your mind about this as well. The only things that I look at are CPC and CPMs. Generally, I want under a $1.50 USD CPC on my top spending ads. If I'm above that, then I will do another round of creative testing. Unless it's like terrible metrics, like above like $4 CPC, I'm probably just gonna kill the product and move on. But if I'm getting like a $2.50 CPC, I will launch a new round of creative testing, same campaign and a new ad set set for midnight. And then my goal is obviously to, you know, take principles out of a book like this and make my creatives better, do more market research and understand how I can target these ads to my customer avatar better, and then learn from the data and then relaunch. And then obviously the only thing that matters, especially when dropshipping, is cost per purchase, CPA. So yeah, I'll do another round of testing and really try to get that first sale. And then I can learn from that data and figure out why that ad got a sale. And then maybe do another round of testing based off that data. And kind of wrap this question up. Like my entire goal is to get to 20% net margin with $50 spend. And then I can confidently increase my budget and start scaling.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's a pretty standard approach these days, and even like outside of drop shipping, just for media buying in general. Like for us, for example, at the agency, we'll generally do like $100 a day or $200 a day with one ad set, flexible ads in it, and then if we want to launch a new creative batch, we'll launch it in a new ad set with a new, you know, sort of concept of batch, like a batch of concepts.
Yep.
And that's a really solid approach, because then you really only, like you mentioned, stick to the creative and you have a solid system to iterate from. I will say too, like what's crazy, if you're testing products, I definitely agree. Like if the cost per click is just ridiculous, and you definitely want to look at CPMs and cost per click. Like of course purchases matter the most, but you want those metrics tell you a lot too. And you're not likely to make something work that has like $100 CPM and like, you know, $5 cost per click. Though I have, you know, at the agency, which is one of the reasons I love running an agency, is all the data that we get. We've had clients that operate at like 30% margins that have $5 cost per clicks.
Wow.
It's insane. I've only seen it really once, but with those clicks, they would literally still get like under $20 CPAs.
Wow.
Given like their brand was like produced in the US, it's like a beard oil. They had like storylines for each product. It was crazy, but I still don't really get why their CPCs were so high, but they made it work. So whatever. But generally, if you're getting those costs, it's way better to just move on, or just like cut those creatives very fast and iterate quickly. Otherwise, you're gonna waste a lot of money, unfortunately. Real quick, if you appreciate these clips and interviews that I put forward for you, then please make sure you use our Shopify link in the description to start your own Shopify business with an exclusive deal. And also make sure you check out akemulab.com for additional resources, free tools, guides, and just a lot of interesting stuff that will help your journey, even some software deals that are exclusive to akemulab.com. So make sure you do that and continue watching the video.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why like CPC is technically kind of a vanity metric, because if you have a good ROAS, if you have a good CPA, then it doesn't matter. So that's why I try to keep it simple and not look at a bunch of data, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like if it's producing a good CPA, good. If it's not, okay, learn from it and turn it off and test again. But yeah, that's a great point.
True. So as far as what you've seen working with Noah as well in the past too, like I'm curious on all the tests that you guys have done. What are the most common ways to find winning products, like highest success rate method to finding winning products from your point of view?
Sure. So as of late, my bread and butter has been the Facebook ads library. And the way I do it is I start by looking at the United States ads, and then I always want to look at active ads only. And then I like to filter if I go back in time at least 2 weeks. You can go back a month, you can go back 2 months. Those are all things you can test, but at least 2 weeks of active ads. And then I can go through there and click on the shop now buttons and learn more buttons and find out who's drop shipping, who's not. Usually it's pretty easy to tell like a drop shipping store compared to a brand. And then I just want to see if they've been running ads for more than 2 weeks, if their product is sourceable on AliExpress, and if it has good margins. Then if it hits those criterias, and I also check Google Trends to see like just the general trend of the product or niche. If it hits those things, then I'm going to freaking test the product. I try not to get caught up. I try not to look at like, oh, how much competition is it? Because it's very easy to like build like a negative mindset. Like, oh, I can't make this work. Like there's so many people doing this. Like if I see someone and it's hitting those things, then I am putting it on my list and I'm going to test it. My whole mindset on it is like, I just want to do everything better than this competition. Usually they have really bad copywriting. Usually their ads are terrible. And a lot of the time their landing page is terrible as well. So that kind of fuels my mindset. Like, okay, I know I can do things better than this advertiser right now. And then I'll just test it. And that's it.
I like that.